Scott, and I am so excited to be talking about Wichita Grand Opera's production of Rigoletto. It is going to be incredible, and I am with, honestly, I'm my favorite opera star of the world, Sam Ramey. I'm really excited to have you. No, I'm honest. Love it, love it. So, first of all, for somebody who hasn't seen Rigoletto, tell me about the story.
Well, the story's kind of convoluted. I'll try to make it as simple as I can. It takes place in Mantua, Italy, and the Duke of Mantua. The opera opens in his big party scene in his castle, and he's a character of questionable, questionable whatever.
Okay, so
he's a
his
womanizer.
ethics, maybe.
He's a womanizer.
Okay,
so
all right, that's a
the very first scene he has this famous aria, questa o quella. This one or that one, it doesn't matter. Just bring them on. Speaking of women, and then as the party goes on, there's this guy called Monterone. He's what the opera is all about, really. That's the role I'm singing. It's a small part, but it's an important part, which I'll explain in a second. Because before the opera started, the Duke has at some point seduced Monterone's daughter. So Monterone is naturally a little bit upset about this. This way he comes in and he says he wants to speak to the Duke, and comes in and he makes a big scene, and in the end of this ensemble he says "sia maledetto." That's a curse. He puts a curse on the Duke and Rigoletto, and that's sort of a key thing in the opera. This maledizione. Then later, the Rigoletto goes off and he meets Sparafucile, an assassin. And this is Sparafucile says, well, if you need my services, you know where I am. I'll be here. I'm usually here every evening. So then later, the Duke has been told about the daughter of Rigoletto. So he goes and they have a conversation, and he tells Gilda, that's the daughter's name, that his name is Gualtier Malde. It's a fake name, and then that instigates another very famous aria of the Gildas called "Caro Nome," sweet name, Gualtier Malde.
Love it.
Well, then later on, as it goes, the Duke succeeds in seducing Gilda, and Rigoletto is very upset, and he says, it's that maledizione, this is the whole problem, and so he hires the assassin, and then the last scene takes place in Sparafucile, the assassin's house, and Rigoletto's there, and Gilda, knows about the plot, so she decides she comes dressed as a man, as a boy man, and she decides that she's going to save the Duke. So she goes in and gives them somebody to kill.
Wow.
So they kill this, and they fake it, try to make it look like it's Gilda's body, and he takes it out to Rigoletto. And then, of course, he discovers it. It's his daughter Gilda, blah, blah, and she dies. And the last word you hear again is, la maledizione, that maledetto that Monterone put on me. So that's in a nutshell.
I love this. And you know what? Even when you're not going all out, you still give me chills when you sing. That's amazing. Talk about, because you have performed all over the world, and you've been in productions everywhere. What about this role do you like?
Well, like I said, it's a small part, but it's a very commanding part. He commands the scene that he's in, and like I said, and he delivers like the key word to the opera. La maledizione.
Love that.
So that's why, and I haven't. This is actually my first real professional performance of this opera. I've never. I sang Sparafucile with a very small opera company called, I don't know if it even exists anymore. It was called the Harford Opera. It was based in Harford County, Maryland. And it was a small company, and they did everything in English with two pianos, no orchestra. just two pianos. So that was one of my first actual professional jobs with that. And but then later on, after I had been at New York City Opera for a few years, I was asked to. They were planning a recording of Rigoletto with Cheryl Milnes and Beverly Sills.
Wow.
And Julius Rudel, who was the head of New York City Opera, was conducting it. So they asked me to do Spada Fucile, and I said, yeah, great, So I went to London, and I arrived in London, and the night before we were to start, Julius Rudel, the conductor, calls me and said, he said, Sam, do you happen to know Monterone? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, I sang it in a concert performance in New York 2 or 3 years ago, so, I basically know it. So he said, because the person that they've hired to do Monterone for this is not well, and he just can't do it. So would you do it? And I said, sure. He said, besides, it'd be kind of interesting to have the same person doing Monterone, who issues the maledetto, and then Spada Fucile, who carries out the maledetto.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's unique. Oh, that's fun.
So that's my experience with the opera.
One of the things, and I'm really a proud board member of the Wichita Grand Opera, because I think the quality of productions here are they're unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
They're outstanding.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about, for somebody maybe who hasn't seen a Wichita Grand Opera production, how does it compare with other opera companies you've been involved with?
Well, I mean, it's fantastic, and actually, I'm looking forward to this production is with a Stevenello design. And the Stevenello company that has they've done opera productions for as long as I've been singing. I've sung many of their productions, and they're always really terrific, fantastic. And so I'm looking forward to working with Robert, I guess in this case, Stevenello. I think he must be the son or grandson of the Stevenello that I knew.
Yeah.
But no, the productions here at Wichita Grand are exceptional and really first class, first rate.
And talk about some of the other cast members, because what I think is interesting, I mean, somebody of your caliber, they bring all sorts of singers, opera singers from all over the world to perform here. Talk about some of the cast members that you're going to be performing with.
Well, some of them I've performed with, some of them I haven't. The tenor, Leonardo Capalbo, is doing the Duke. I don't know him, but I'm sure he'll be fantastic. I mean, but the Gilda Unni Park, we sang in Turandot together a year ago. And Michael Nansel, who is doing the title part, I've worked with, of course, he was in the Don Carlo last year. And Bill Powers doing Spada Fucile. He and I are old friends. We've both been in the business for about the same amount of time. Which is centuries. And
it may feel that way, but no.
And the Maddalena also is familiar. Sarah Heltzel, who was also in the Don Carlo last year. So I'm looking forward to working again with all these people and getting to know Mr. Capalbo.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun because it's interesting to see how often you may cross paths with some of these people, because it kind of is a smaller community. No,
that's what's great. It's been great with this business all these years, because you're constantly running into the same people through the course of your career, and also you see like when I first started, I got to work with singers like. I did one time with Robert Merrill. I sang Aida, and it was towards the end of his career, and so I've gotten to work with people like that, and then when my career was really going strongly, I worked a lot of times with the same people, several times a year, and now getting a chance to see young singers, new singers. They're on their way up. It's very exciting. It's been very exciting for me.
I love it, and I'm so glad. We are so fortunate to have you here, and I really appreciate the fact that you
you.
continue to just thrill us with all of your performances.
Well, I appreciate Wichita Grand Opera, giving me a chance to sing every now and then.
Absolutely. So if you want to see Rigoletto, the performance is September 3rd, 7 p.m. at the Concert Hall here at Century 2. For tickets, call 316-262-8054.